every American Horror Story season ranked worst to best. American Horror Story revolutionized horror TV shows, proving that high-quality scares worked just as well on the small screen. The best AHS seasons are known for their unique storylines and themes, with each season focusing on a different horror subgenre. Some seasons, like Roanoke and Cult, have been less well-received by critics and fans, while others like Asylum and Murder House are considered standout seasons in the franchise. American Horror Story blossomed from an obscure FX series to a full-blown franchise, and the best HS seasons ranked show why the anthology horror is still going strong after over a decade. Created by Ryan Murphy, American Horror Story premiered in 2011 and has released a new season almost yearly since. As an anthology series, AHS revolutionized horror TV shows, proving that disturbing high-quality scares of theatrical releases worked just as well on the small screen. Since its premiere, the show has won over 100 awards, with several actors receiving recognition for their performances. American Horror Story is known for members of its stellar ensemble cast playing multiple roles, with each of the AHS seasons focusing on a different theme or horror subgenre. The first AHS season was a haunted house storyline, after which the show moved on to everything from asylums and carnivals to hotels and witch covens. The best American Horror Story seasons also connected in many ways, even outside the ensemble cast playing different roles. Some seasons of American Horror Story are better than others, however, and when looking at the AHS seasons ranked, there are some clear high points. The format of American Horror Story. Roanoke is interesting and possibly the weirdest of all the American Horror Story seasons. Although the American Horror Story seasons are all connected, no one expects scenes from other seasons to be replayed. The found footage part of AHS Season 6 was an interesting new direction for the show, though it never seemed to land quite as well as the best found footage horror movies. American Horror Story cast veteran Sarah Paulson said she wasn't a fan of the season, saying she was underwhelmed by the whole experience, via The Independent. Roanoke was the season that caused her to leave the franchise for a short time, and many critics shared her disappointment with this season of AHS American Horror Story. Double Feature tried to tell two stories in one season, although they both connected, and some wished that they were done as full separate seasons themselves. The season was aided enormously by newcomer to the anthology series Macaulay Culkin alongside a fine selection of cast alumni. The two stories, Red Tide and Death Valley, had different locations, with one taking place at sea and giving the franchise a new take on vampires, and the other on land with another look at the idea of alien beings. AHS Season 10 felt like a Stephen King tale brought to American Horror Story and spun narratives about people setting out to find hope, only to find horror, leading to AHS Double Feature's shocking ending. The season received positive reviews, but fewer awards than previous seasons. American Horror Story. Cult was somewhat disregarded by critics for incorporating politics and steering away from non-human horrors. Sarah Paulson's American Horror Story character in Season 7 is difficult to relate to initially, but her triumph is surprisingly enthralling. The latter portion of the season is much more enjoyable for this reason, not to mention that Evan Peters as Andy Warhol, alongside a slew of real-life cult leaders, is mesmerizing. The season only picked up 7 Emmy nominations and received lukewarm reviews from critics. I guess Cult hasn't aged well either, as its social commentary was so tied to the 2016 presidential election that it already feels less poignant. While it was a highlight of the show when it first aired thanks to the timely satirical elements, Cult has gradually declined among the AHS seasons ranked. Hotel was one of the lesser American Horror Story seasons according to critics, although it did present the arrival of Lady Gaga to the series with a fantastic performance. She has remained a fan favorite. It was her role as the Countess that helped Gaga win a Golden Globe Award. Evan Peters is great as James March, based on a real-life killer, while Kathy Bates and Dennis O'Hare quite rightly become the focus of AHS Hotel by the halfway mark. This season of the series focuses on the Hotel Cortez and all of the horrifying guests who make it their home. There are some things Hotel does better than even the best American Horror Story seasons, especially visually, but it's far too inconsistent to be close to the best American Horror Story seasons. American Horror Story NYC seemed like a return to form for the series. Billie Lourd continued to fit well in her role as the new lead actor for the franchise, and the season brought back some older actors who had been missing for a long time, including Zachary Quinto and Patti LuPone. The incorporation of real-life events is also much smoother and more seamless than in other American Horror Story seasons. The scope of the season is quite broad but allows for newer story avenues, avoiding the potential of repeated horrors. It also provides a much-needed LGBTQ+ presence in the horror genre, allowing the season to pick up a GLA Media Award nomination. While not one of the best American Horror Story seasons, NYC is arguably only held back by the quality of the higher-ranked seasons. After several varied American Horror Story seasons, Apocalypse brought together many loosely connected storylines for what felt like an epic AHS crossover season that paid off some of the Easter eggs that had previously connected other seasons. This was a crossover with the first season, Murder House, as well as Coven and Hotel. The season saw the Antichrist born as a callback to a character in the first season, with the witches from AHS Coven showing up to battle him and stop the end of the world. This crossover brought back Sarah Paulson and Evan Peters, both playing multiple roles, and other characters returning for the massive battle. AHS Season 8 received positive reviews and picked up 5 Emmy Awards, although it was listed as a drama for the first time instead of its regular miniseries listing. American Horror Story Freak Show has possibly the strongest ending of any AHS season, and it might be the best representation of what American Horror Story seasons represent. There are carnival freaks, ghosts, tragedies, and even some musical numbers to shake things up. The tragic death of Meep in AHS Freak Show underlines the horrors on display here. The season is almost a long-form remake of the classic horror film, The Freaks, which itself is featured in the season. AHS Season 4 is much more tragic as a result of many of the dramatic backstories of the main characters than it is horrifying and brought it in an astonishing 19 Emmy nominations. It won 5 of those in mostly technical categories like Best Costuming and Best Makeup, which only goes to show how visually stunning the work on the season is. American Horror Story 1984 brought something completely different to the franchise. While the season suffered from the absence of Evan Peters and Sarah Paulson as usual players, both Billie Lourd and Emma Roberts valiantly attempted to pick up the slack. One of the strongest entries among the AHS seasons ranked 1984 was based on classic 1980s slasher movies, lifting tropes from the genre and decade that delighted both fans and critics. The season earned critical acclaim and fans loved it as well, praising the lighter tone compared to other American Horror Story seasons as a welcome break from more bleak television fare. This season also demonstrated its willingness to have fun with the horror twists and turns. The season also picked up 4 Emmy nominations, though it didn't bring home any wins for the show. The original American Horror Story is very nearly perfect and certainly the purest form of all American Horror Story seasons. The first season of American Horror Story feels less focused than those that followed, but also less forced. It allows events to unfold gradually, to breathe, and to slowly build a tone that becomes excruciating by the end. The season follows a family that moves into a new home that has quite a bit of horrifying history. The haunted house ties several different stories from different eras together. It is later confirmed Murder House is a portal to hell in AHS Apocalypse, which somewhat undermines the original revelation that Tate is the center of the house's evil. Jessica Lange's performance stole the show and earned her a Primetime Emmy Award for the season, while the show picked up 17 total nominations. A regular fan favorite among American Horror Story seasons, there is a lot to love about American Horror Story. Coven, particularly the iconic performances from the ensemble female-led cast. The season features the American Horror Story cast at its peak, now complete with new members Angela Bassett and Kathy Bates joining returning stars Sarah Paulson and Jessica Lange. Add in Emma Roberts and Taysa Farmiga, and AHS Season 3 might be one of the best casts of the franchise. The story, set in New Orleans and inspired by real history from the region, focuses on different forms of witchcraft and magical belief systems in the area. The show provides a great fictional take on some real history, but it also makes a great showcase for female empowerment as all of the female characters struggle to make sense of and claim their own power. AHS. Coven picked up 5 different Emmy nominations for acting, with Bates and Lange winning awards. American Horror Story. Asylum had a lot riding on it, as it was both the show's triumphant return and Ryan Murphy's first attempt at proving the season-by-season anthology format of AHS would work. After a strong first season, Ryan Murphy and the ensemble cast returned with the strongest AHS season to date. It featured the return of most of the main cast from Season 2 in new roles, beginning the show's tendency to keep about half the cast intact before bringing in newcomers. Season 2, Asylum, remains both the show's most terrifying and most riveting when it comes to its twist-filled plot. AHS. Asylum also boasts Jessica Lange in a leading role for the first time as the terrifying and tragic Sister Jude. One of the best American Horror Story seasons, it earned 17 Emmy nominations, winning an acting award for James Cromwell along the way.